Have you heard of ClubHouse yet? Are you on ClubHouse yet? Stay tuned. This week's guest, Donnie Boivin, is going to tell you what you need to know and so much more. Before we get started, very important that we recognize our sponsors. Traver Connect. 2 words ring true for all of us in the automotive service space: the phones. When we hear these words, instantly we all sigh. Because as much change as our industry has seen, we still get an overwhelming amount of calls. No need to sigh, though. That's where a good BDC comes in handy, doesn't it? I know the team at Traver Connect personally, and these guys get it. And they can help you build your service BDC. Or you can use their team to catch the calls you miss from their well-trained team of agents. Even have them make outbound calls and set new appointments. Give Traver Connect a call today. As they say, revenue doesn't leave a message at the beep. Dynatron Software. Dynatron Software is the premier provider of automotive fixed operation data analytics, business intelligence, and pricing optimization. We are changing the way the automotive dealerships look at their service department profitability and revenue streams. We are laser focused on profit management for fixed operations and uncovering hidden opportunities for our clients. Reach out to Dynatron Software today. We're excited for our new sponsor, F&I Direct. F&I Direct is a company comprised of experts on F&I, reinsurance, digital showroom workflows, and much more. They help fix and improve your processes and guarantee results. If you're interested in finding out how you can increase your profit on every unit sold without giving up any of the money you're already making, visit GuaranteedDealerProfits.com. Again, that's GuaranteedDealerProfits.com. You can schedule a free strategy call and start being more profitable this month. So don't wait. Welcome back, everybody, the Fixed Ops Mastermind podcast. Today, we are excited to have our guest, Donnie Boivin, with us. He is a 4-time best-selling author, the CEO of Success Champion Network, the founder of Badass Business Summit, and on ClubHouse, the new big thing, at Donnie Boivin. Donnie, welcome.
Hey, brother. Damn glad to be here. And dude, let me tell you, ClubHouse is a freaking app that is just blowing the hell up. I'm really digging it over there.
Yeah, I just got my iPhone that I ordered today because I'm an Android guy. So I ordered.
Same. Yeah. I told you I jumped on eBay, bought a $150 freaking cheap ass iPhone, and now I'm on ClubHouse. So
yeah, that's exactly what I did. I managed to get somebody to give me their invite, and I'm like, that's great, but I can't even get on there.
I think that's one of the most brilliant marketing plans of any time that I've seen, at least in the last 5-10 years. Is, the guys at ClubHouse said, dude, we're going to make this an Apple. We'll get everybody jumping and vibing on it. And it's the first app that I know of that got us Android users to go, fuck, I am missing out. So I'm totally in.
Yep. Yeah. And I thought for a little bit, I'm like, well, they'll come out with an Android thing. So I'll just wait a little bit. And then you just see it blowing up. And I think the invitation strategy was brilliant also.
Yeah. I agree. As far as I know, they have no intent of going to Android anytime soon. So, and they're just getting ready to take this mainline. So it's good timing. And the organic growth. I had no idea that my Instagram and Twitter were going to blow up so much.
Yeah, it's a very cool correlation between the 3 of them there that really helps out.
Yeah.
So, I'm excited now that I got this. I literally set it up right before I get on the call with you. So,
well, that's funny. I just got off a ClubHouse chat where we were running a room on business development with a couple of pretty successful guys that are buddies of mine. So it was a lot of fun.
All right. Well, let's continue down the ClubHouse road for a little bit then.
Sure.
So what do you find, or are you finding early on that having your room and doing it do you do it at certain times a day or?
Yeah. So if I'm looking off screen on my calendar right now, we're opening rooms 4 times a week. So I'm doing a Monday morning, 7 a.m. I'm doing a Thursday morning, 7 a.m., a Wednesday at 4 p.m. and then a Friday at 4 p.m. and Central Times. And 2 things that I'm finding to be very, very successful. So this is unlike any other platform that I've been on. Because traditionally on most platforms, you don't want to follow a whole lot of people. You want a lot of followers.
Right.
This platform there's value in following other people because you can bring them to your rooms and invite them in. But, the other day I was in a room with freaking Gary V, and I could ask Gary a fucking question, so
Wow.
the ability to get to the people that you're not getting to otherwise, because they're just opening rooms and starting conversation, has been amazing. People's number one question I get is, have you made money off it? Yeah, we've made over 6 figures. And I've only been on the app for 3 weeks.
Wow.
People have followed through my profiles, bought books, bought programs, and the likes. So get in the big rooms, get in the small rooms, ask questions, provide value. And you'll be amazed at how fast your growth is with it.
Yeah, very cool. So are you, the rooms you have, are you going in with you and some of your team that are going in, so you have more people available to answer questions and things? Or?
Yeah, so we're doing both. Like on Friday afternoons, I just go. We used to do it via Facebook Live, and we called it Champions Happy Hour, where I would sit in front of Zoom, drink my ass off, and just answer questions through my Facebook group. And we've just now rolled that into ClubHouse. So it's the same thing. So I'll come talk. I'll bring anybody up, let them, get the platform. But a lot of times I'm doing it with other just really badasses, because their audience comes, your audience comes, you can make more moderators, and you can get bigger and bigger rooms.
Yeah.
Because there's value in teaching on there, but the platform's really designed to be a collaborative conversation. It's not meant to one person come up and just monologue. It's a completely interactive. So the best way I've heard it explained is it's like listening to a podcast like this, but you can raise your hand, come in and ask a question right in the middle of it.
Right. Yeah, that was my first take on it. It was like a live podcast type of thing where you could actually participate in it, and that definitely kind of changes the way that everybody interacts.
100%. I'm telling everybody to go to the smaller rooms right now, because it's easier to get on stage. And once you tell the world who you are, the followers start coming in. But I've got, one buddy of mine, Tony Watley, he's in some of the massive rooms. Yeah. And that dude's, I think he's a month in maybe on there, and he's already generated over $100,000 for his coaching practices and businesses, because he's constantly getting in these big ass rooms and getting called up to the big stages. So. Yeah. But like any social media, you can get in there and get sucked in, and next thing you know, you burned a couple hours. You're like, shit, I actually got to run a business.
Yeah, like anything else, you're still going to watch how much time you're putting into it.
Absolutely. Yeah. So don't get me started about TikTok, because my wife constantly, she's like, can you go wear a pair of headphones? I'm just tired of listening to all the damn jokes, and
yeah, right.
Because I can get sucked into TikTok. We put content out there as well, but I'm like, I'm just going to post a video, and then 20 minutes later, I'm like, shit, I'm still watching the videos.
Right. And my wife is always telling me to put headphones on. So let's talk about your success champion. The whole, you've built your whole forum around this. How did that come to be? How did you go from start to where you are now?
Yeah. So, I spent 20 years as a straight commission sales guy. So, I never did car sales because I have a soul. You're welcome for that. But I did heating and air conditioning sales. And I took a company from $300,000 to $3 million in about 2 years. And then from there, I sold franchises, part of a franchise sales team, and we grew a company from 80 to $100 million. And then I went from there to commercial printing, ran a commercial printing division for a very large commercial printing company. And then my last career was working with an organization called Sandler Training, and supposedly became one of the top sales trainers in the country. So I was really in a position of buying out my franchise that I became a business partner in. And, my business partner and I had gone out to celebrate all these past successes and everything that we'd done. And my business partner said a statement to me that flipped my world on its head and just changed everything, and it's what got me out here doing what I'm doing now. And what he said to me was, Donnie, thank God you're my retirement plan. And, he said it out of love, and I took it out of love. It was very much, I've always been proud of what I helped him build and, what we did together. And so I replied in kind, it's been my honor to work for you. I've loved everything we've done. But then I walked out to my truck, and I sat in the parking lot for 10 minutes before I, finally started the truck up to drive home. And all I could sit there and think is, holy shit, Donnie, you were literally somebody else's retirement plan.
Yeah.
And then 15 days later, I launched the company Success Champions, and we went through some amazing ups and downs, and I learned a lot in a very short amount of time, like you do running a business. But, the catalyst of it all was when I finally discovered at 40 years old that I'd lived somebody else's dream the entire journey.
Yeah. And for those who are not the entrepreneur type on listening to this podcast, that phrase may not have struck them as much as it did you, or when you just said it, I was like, ouch. That hurt.
Well, it's one of those things. And, I was never the guy. So a lot of times, like on my podcast, I enter people and they're like, I was an entrepreneur. I had the lemonade stands, and I did shit. I was not that guy. I had no dreams, ambition, desires to start a business, be a business owner. It just never crossed my mind. So I really thought sales training was going to be my whole end game. That's what it was going to be, But when you get punched in the face by a statement like that, it's a huge wake up call.
Yeah, and sometimes that's what it takes, right? 2020 was one of those punches in the face for a lot of people, when they realized they didn't have the security they thought they had.
Well, and to that I agree. And I know 2020 was a shit year for a lot of people, and there's a lot of tragedy wrapped up in the year. But, man, I just want to praise the motherfuckers that got in the game and created. Because, we launched an entire new business with Success Champions Networking. And it took off because we found a way to help small business owners stay in business. And, I don't want to stay on there, so it sounds like I'm promoting it, but the idea is the people that got in and created in that moment, God, when the smoke clears of all this and we're finally back to a working America again, they're going to be sitting really high on the pile of, a successful business or endeavor.
Right.
Yeah, I just think too many people put their fucking head in the ground and said, "Oh, well, the government's going to send me freaking money or whatever else," and they threw in the fucking towel.
Yeah, that happened for a lot of people. They just they gave up and said, "Well, the government's going to close this business down, that business. What am I supposed to do?" So I'll collect my unemployment check and the extra $600 or whatever it was the government was giving them, and they were happy to go along and live like that, rather than either turning inward or turning and looking at some of the problems that they were facing and finding a damn solution to them.
Exactly right. And it's funny when people meet themselves, because I think that's the year of 2020 is, you got these guys that, were career salespeople or whatever else, and now they find themselves in a fucking street, and a sales guy on the street is one of the toughest places to be. Because, no good sales guy is on the street, know. So now, I mean, I had some buddies, in particular up in New York, fucking amazing sales guys, careers in sales. All of a sudden, their company's closing the doors, and now they're on the street. So they're even caught up of, no good sales guys on the street. So I just go back to, 2020 was a year to figure out the hell you're made of. And but at the same token, for business, there were some people put in some tough spots. I mean, there's no real answer for a retail store. When the government says your doors are closed, you're closed.
Right.
And I mean, there was some people that did some amazing pivots, but there was a lot of people that just couldn't pivot enough to survive. And, that's it's a shitty place to be, but you got two choices. You crawl in a ball and you cry, or you go, all right, that fucking sucked, and let's figure out what's next.
Yeah, absolutely. And unfortunately, there was a lot of the first one that took place.
Yes.
But on the flip side of that, there was also a lot of innovation and things that came out of it on the automotive side in fixed operations, the service and parts departments. There were a lot of dealerships who innovated with their pickup and delivery services and things like that to help customers out. And for some of those, they did it long enough to just get through those few months.
Yep.
Now have reverted back and are not. Those are the ones that didn't listen to what customers really want.
Yeah.
I mean, in any successful business, you need to know what your customers want, or you're not going to have a business for very long.
Yeah, dude, that's well said. It's fascinating because ultimately the big business is going to be the most affected by all of this. And I don't think there's some things that are going to probably shut down a lot more small businesses coming in 2020 with some of these new things that they're rolling out. And it's going to be a scary time for small business in 2020. So we're just keeping an eye on a lot of the new regulations and things. In particular, some of the things they're doing with 1099 employees. But, the big business, they now realize that they don't need their people to be in office.
Right.
I mean, they sent everybody home. And I've got friends that are in massive collection companies, and that's what they do for a living, is collections for companies. And, they're like, I barely have to put clothes on and I'm still making the same money.
Right.
I'm running the same thing and doing the same thing. The difference being is I get to sleep in a little bit longer, and I get to stay up later and drink a little bit longer. They haven't necessarily grown up yet, but
requirement.
Yeah. But companies as a whole have, if they can work with an entire remote force company, everything, every role in there, why pay the big footprint bill of a building and all the insurance and everything comes with that? I mean, it's absolutely just a very cool moment. So I'm interested in the impact on the commercial industry, commercial buildings and the sky rise and all that, what's going to happen here in the near future.
Yeah, it definitely changed the landscape of most industries, especially ones that realized that they could go remote with a lot of their workforce. Even for the automotive group that I work for, they're the 10th largest in the United States, and the corporate headquarters has almost nobody in it. They're all working remotely. You still call the same corporate number, but it transfers to their house. Where they're at their houses, and it still works as effectively.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's an awesome moment. I think one of the things that tremendously helped us when chaos broke out is, in April of 2020, I was supposed to do the Badass Business Summit. I mean, we'd rented out an entire convention center. We had speakers flying in from all over the world. We'd sold out the event, and 3 weeks from the event, we were told that there was no way in hell we could put this event on, which, it is what it is. Let's protect the people, and to where it was early on in the whole pandemic, and so nobody knew, the good, the bad, the shit. We still don't know the good, the bad, the ugly of it, because you don't know who to fucking believe, with it all. But the trick was, we as a company were out that money because, of course, there's no refunds when you do big events and things like this. So, we had to postpone the event, in which we still did it, and we did it in person in September, and we still sold out the venue. But, at that moment, it was a kind of a light bulb moment for the company, because we were like, dude, we've been doing business online for the last 3 years, right? At that point, 2.5 years.
Yep.
All these people are fixing to start entering our world and have no idea how to do it. So that's why we launched the networking groups, was to help small businesses still stay in business during this point. But it was, we know how to do it. Let's teach others how to do it as well.
Right. Yeah, and that's so. I mean, that goes back to some of the original point of there were some people that pivoted, such as yourself. You didn't have to pivot the entire business, but at least a portion of it to say, hey, here's an area where number one, I can make profit, but number two, I can help people.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Which, I mean, two of the greatest things in the world are profit and helping people. So
yeah, I mean, I got to admit that part of the creation of it was a little bit of a Hail Mary pass, because we're out all this money from doing this conference, and cash flow is a major thing inside of a business, and now we were sitting on a not a deficit, but we had a big chunk of change missing out of our cash flow. So I looked at the team and I'm like, guys, I love you and I want you to stay working here, and I still want to figure this out. But we need to come up with something that's going to fill this gap and help small businesses over. So, right. And I think it goes back to being flexible and quick on your feet. And when you get that idea, throwing everything at it.
Yeah, I mean, what you just said, it was the Hail Mary pass, right? But you had the courage to throw that pass.
Yeah.
Right? There's what was the football team that decided to kick the field goal against Brady to that left?
I don't sport, so I can only imagine. The only thing I know is never give Brady a shot.
Yeah. And I mean that's what I liken it to is that coach didn't have the balls to go for what he should have went for. And that's what happens with a lot of want to be entrepreneurs, right? Is they have the idea, they maybe have the drive to do it, but they can't get themselves to just make that leap, that jump, take that chance. Because there's always a risk involved. There's a risk involved in anything. There's a risk in having a job from an employer every day. That employer could decide tomorrow that you're no longer employed. There's no actual security there. It's an appearance security. So.
Well, and I think that's the other good thing that really came out of this is I think the entrepreneur or the Insta millionaire, got smacked around because no longer could they go rent a house or stand in front of a borrowed Ferrari and try and tout how fucking wealthy they were. We were all forced to see people in their natural habitat, and some people's stories just didn't live up to the hype. So I think it really leveled the playing field for a lot of us up and comers and gave us an opportunity to have a real shot at, building our personal brands and continuing to build our business. Right. But it has been funny for me to watch some of the mighty fall, and really get their asses handed to them, in this moment. I've enjoyed it.
Yeah. It's it may not be the right thing to take enjoyment in that, but I totally understand that.
Yeah.
So with what you're doing with entrepreneurs, you work with entrepreneurs, businesses all together. So what are some of the things that you're teaching them to help with their success?
Yeah. So, fascinating thing that we've found a lot of success with lately is teaching businesses how to use podcasting to grow their businesses. There's 1.8 million podcasts in the marketplace right now, and most of them are shit.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to listen to them because people are just putting out crappy content. And it's funny to see what's out there. So, I started after my show found success. I started coaching some Fortune 500s and whatnot, and helping them use podcasting as a business development tool. So we've translated that into small businesses, and now we're teaching small businesses to use that to grow their businesses through some fascinating things. And then we created Success Champions Networking, where we bring badass business owners together and help them grow their businesses through ongoing referrals, and teaching them how to do better business.
Yeah. I think the podcasting side of it, I think, is something that there are a lot of businesses that you can't even say that they're missing the boat, because podcasting is still a pretty young industry, and still an amazing amount of opportunity there. But I think it's an opportunity that a lot of them are missing, just like a lot of these businesses are now building YouTube channels and go, oh, hey, shit, there's an opportunity here for us to grow on YouTube. There's more of an opportunity to grow podcasting. And if you get businesses to start doing their podcasts and creating some good content, they can they can create advertising for themselves.
Yeah. Well, and it's how we really broke into the bigger businesses and working with them was I found myself in an event and I got invited to come in and speak on podcasting. And I've done some fun stages on I did a 9-city tour in Ireland speaking on podcasting.
Very cool.
Yeah, it was a blast. But at one of the events that I did in Florida, I had the CEO of a very large company, come up to me and goes, we've been looking at podcasting, but we don't know how to use it. And, as we sat down and started talking, I said, what you got to understand about podcasting as a whole is unlike anything other than YouTube, people choose what to consume. So when you think about YouTube, you go to YouTube and it's a how-to channel. People type in, how do I, and they go searching for shit. Well, podcasting is very much the same way. The only difference is typically people hear about a podcast because somebody says, hey, did you hear what Joe Rogan said?
Yep.
You might as well throw out the fucking 500-pound gorilla from podcasters, right? And, and that's what most people's biggest foray into it is they're told about Joe's show or maybe some other show, but then people choose to sit down and consume it for 15 minutes to an hour.
Right.
And you get a captive audience. And so what we started getting these Fortune 500s to understand is now you can focus directly at your consumers, bring content that's relative to them, and now you establish trust even before they freaking buy because they're choosing to consume your content, whether it's an ad or whether you're running your own show. So it's been a cool moment in history to watch as podcasting continues to evolve.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think as businesses start to realize this some more and realize that I think there's some businesses that are out there going, what the hell would I talk about on a podcast about my business? I make widgets, but you don't have to talk about widgets. You can get on and have conversations about anything, but you're still there. It's still your business that is bringing them the content. And you can always bring a conversation back around to whatever it is you do and relate it back to what you do.
Yeah, dude, I love this. And just to prove that point. So, and I love asking people this question. You know who Gary Vee is, right?
Mm-hmm. What
is Gary Vee's business?
Media and wine.
Cool. Right. A lot of people don't know that Gary Vee runs like $140 million ad agency. He also has Vayner Sports run by his brother, AJ. And he's got a couple of other collectives. My point being is to just elaborate on what you said. You just need to start a podcast on what you geek out on, not your fucking business.
Right.
Because people buy you, they get what you do. And part of the reason Gary's found success is the motherfucker just said, I'm going out on social media. I don't give a shit what people think. I'm just going to share my story. Yep. Or in his words, document a story, whether you love him or hate him.
Yep.
And he just kept putting out content, building an audience, and, started working with some of the biggest companies in the world. It's a brilliant business model to follow.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And if you, for people who are afraid to get started, go back and watch Gary's early stuff.
Yes, the beginning, early stuff, right?
Absolutely awful. I mean,
his hair wasn't cut. He looks like shit.
I mean, sometimes he was saying stuff that didn't necessarily make a whole lot of sense or have any relevancy to anybody.
And to that point, what's funny is if you really go back to like when he first started Wine Library, his show was literally about teaching people how to drink wine. So if a wine bottle said like it tastes like old shoe leather and dirt, this motherfucker was eating shoe leather and dirt combined to understand why the wine tasted that way.
Yeah.
I mean, he was even on an Ellen DeGeneres show eating some crazy shit. And I love the clip that I saw because Ellen's like blown out of her fucking mind that this weird dude is eating this crazy shit in front of her. But people only see the Gary that everybody sees now. They don't see the early stuff when he was still trying to figure it out. And,
and that's what it's all about is getting started, right? We talked about that earlier with you making your pivot and having the courage to actually throw the Hail Mary pass. That's what it's all about. Get out there and actually do it. Yep. There's only two ways it's going to go. It's going to fail or it's going to succeed. And if it fails, it's because you quit.
Yes,
you can learn something and pivot and move on. So, unless you're unless you're testing parachutes, you're probably
right.
Probably not going to die.
Although they say that, it's not the first bounce of a parachute that kills you; it's the second time, right? But I love the whole idea of failure, and you never fail until you throw in a freaking towel.
Right.
But I think people don't understand the tenacity and work that it takes to actually find success. And the best way I've ever heard success described is most people get this shiny object like, hey, I want to start a podcast. And they're like, all right, cool, this is going to be the thing. And as they start the podcast, they're like, holy shit, this is going to be tough. I'm not sure I can do this. And then they get to a point of like, yeah, this is too tough. Oh, wait, there's the next shiny object. Now I'm going to start a blog or a vlog, or I'm going to write a book, and that becomes the next thing. And they go through this cycle where they're constantly repeating over and over again. When the success is found, in that moment when you want to throw in the towel, you freaking step forward one more freaking time, and you start learning from those fuck ups and failures. You get punched in the face and you go, oh, that hurt. Maybe next time I fucking duck. Mm-hmm. And you keep moving forward, and success is found when you start applying whatever you're learning as you're screwing shit up.
Right. You can dig for oil 1 6-inch hole at a time, or you can keep digging in that same hole and finally get yourself down to some oil.
Yeah, exactly. Great analogy.
It's not going to happen any other way. And I mean, to your point, I'm here building this podcast, and I just finished a 10-hour day at work, and now I'm sitting here recording 3 podcasts in a row, and those myself and things. But those are the things you do when you want something to succeed, and you have information that you want to get out to people. So
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And kudos to you, brother. I mean, that to me, and I don't want to say on Gary Vee, but does have some good content and some wise words, but he's the one who said, your 8 to 5 pays the bills. Mm-hmm. Right, your 10 to 2 in the morning builds a freaking legacy. So fucking kudos to you for doing the thing to get you to wherever you're trying to get to. Mad respect for that, man. Seriously.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, I don't ever want to be the person that's, that the insta millionaire as you portrayed them.
Right.
I don't ever want somebody to look and go, well, I want to be able to do what he does, and to sit there and go, yeah, I just started a podcast and that's how it all got going. That's not how it got going. I bust my ass to do this, and people need to realize that that's what it takes. Right. Yeah. Whether you've got your business going and you're doing well, but that didn't happen overnight. And
shit, no. And to that point, one of the greatest things I did for my podcast was launch a Facebook group named the same as the podcast. And it's been fun because the people that have been with me since the beginning, 3 years now doing this, they've seen it. They I mean, it's a documented journey of a series of my fuck ups, and they've seen the good, the bad, the ugly, the horrible business ideas that I came up, especially early on, and all the different things I tried building this out. So I've got a group of people that will defend the story of, look, this wasn't an overnight success. This is the story of, pure Rocky Balboa getting punched in the face and keep stepping forward.
Yeah, don't ever trust the overnight success.
Yeah.
Chances are they were not, and chances are they're lying to you about something. So
yeah, it's like I got a buddy that's a country singer that's finally starting to really break loose, named Cody Jenks, and he's got some amazing music. Him and I bartended back together back in the day, and people were starting to say this dude's an overnight success. I'm like, motherfuckers, I remember the first time that dude sat on a bar stool in a shitty ass bar with just him and a guitar, trying to figure it out. And he's probably done 4,000 shitty bars in the last 12 or 13 years, becoming that overnight success. So
yeah, absolutely. It does not happen that way for anybody. The 4-hour work week is a great book, but
it's a great story.
Yes. I was going to say it's a fairy tale, not a factual story. So, well, Donnie, this was an awesome conversation. And I'll be catching up with you on ClubHouse now that I have an Apple device against my better wishes, but I have to do it. I thank you for being with us, spending some time. It was an awesome conversation.
Yeah, let me do this one quick thing for you. Guys, if you got any value out of this show, Dave is putting together some badass content. And you're doing some good things. So if you got one tip, one trick, one piece of advice out of this thing, do him a favor and teach somebody else how to listen and tune into a show. Reviews are great out there, but subscribers are everything in the podcast world. And if you get somebody else to subscribe to your show, it's like you walked up and gave him a virtual hug. So share this with somebody else, man. It'll mean the world to him.
Awesome. I appreciate that. Where can everybody find you?
Yeah, so the easiest way to find me is check over to successchampionsnetworking.com. We've got a new podcast coming out called Growth Mode. You'll be able to find all of our best-selling books. So successchampionnetworking.com, and come hang out and, send me a message and we'll chat. I'm happy to sit down with almost anybody.
Awesome. We'll get that linked up in the show notes also for everybody. All right. Donnie, thanks for spending some time. It was great.
Absolutely. Thanks, Dave.
Thanks. Okay, everybody, that was Donnie Boivin, and man, what a conversation that was. Powerful stuff. More profanity than we normally have in our show, but man, it got the point across, didn't it? Big news on ClubHouse. If you're not there, you need to be there. If you don't have any kind of Apple device to get yourself on there, you need to do what Donnie and I did, which was just go out to Amazon, buy a $150 cheap iPhone that you can have the proper update on there and get on ClubHouse. It is the big thing, and there is massive growth happening out there right now in ClubHouse. And let's keep the value coming. Fixed Ops Mastermind podcast. As Donnie said, please share this with somebody else. Subscribers make our world go around. We truly appreciate you joining us every single week. Until next time. Thank you.